What is up, guys? NYC Anime Nerd here with Nerd Taku and the head of Baroque's Works, Broker. I was working on that one all week. I was like, how can I introduce Broker in a way? And I was like, Baroque. Oh my god. Um. So yeah, we're here second week. We've got some pretty interesting topics to talk about. If you want to get us started, Taku, on them.
Okay, yeah. So our first topic will be about the D family, what they mean, why they have the initial, all that good stuff, and wherever the theories go. Um, so my whole thing about the D family is I think that they're all basically descendants of the original Nika. Um, and so I think that they've been traced far, like, and obviously there's been a lot of different things that have happened over the years. And I think that the ancient kingdom was the kingdom that came after Nika, and they were basically all his descendants were living in the ancient kingdom. That was why they are considered like basically the enemies of gods, because they, were so advanced. They had all of this power. They were part of the they had the ancient shipwrights build the ancient weapons, and they basically were the strongest force, and that's why the 20 kingdoms had to band against them to stop them. Now, a lot of them during that time were eradicated, and it's basically gotten to the point now where there's almost none of them left. But One Piece is a show about inherited will, right? So you can inherit the initial D, and that's where I think Lily comes in and why she has the D initial. She inherited part of Nika's will, or Joy Boy's will, when everything went down. And that's why she writes her name Nefertari D Lily, because Joy Boy was basically like, hey, you can be part of this, this cause against Emu and the other 20 kingdoms. You just have to inherit the will. And so she was like, "Oh, okay. Then you know what? I'm going to be Nefertari D Lily." Just like eventually we'll find out that Sadi Bo, that whole joke that they made about it, is actually the truth, because Monkey D. Dragon, Sadi Bo, and anyone who else who inherits the will to take down the world government will have the D initial. So that is what I think. I think that that is the simplest of terms when it comes to this. And I think that it makes sense because, like, basically a lot of what we're going to find out eventually is a lot of different races mixed with the people from the ancient kingdom over the
Definitely.
years. That's why, there's a possibility that we have, like Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach might have part Buccaneer. He may even be one of these other races that are also mixed with uh giants and stuff like that. That's why he's so big. That's why he's so durable, and we've seen it. We even have giants that have the D initial with Saul, and if we think that, Luffy is of a different race as well, it all just comes back, and it feels like that is where we're headed. And it could be as simple as the first world, second world, third world. First world being Nika's. Once he passes away, the descendants of him are the D clan. And then in the Joy Boy time, in the second world, when everything else happens, they say Nika is present during all three occurrences. But that could be Nika first, Joy Boy second, and then Luffy being the third. And it would make sense that all the lineage can be traced back to an originator being Nika himself. And so That is what I think.
So I just have two questions before I hop into mine. So you think Nika was actually a person? Because I know there's that whole debate right now that it was maybe a thought, like, people like thought it more into being something
So I do. I
like
think that
with
Nika truly
Mamuden.
did exist,
Do
but
you
I
think
think
do you think he was a human, or do you think he was something like that, like a race that doesn't exist anymore? Because remember, because he's a Zoan, it means that some part of his lineage factor is something beyond. The same way there was the Buddha and stuff like
Well,
that.
well, that
It's
well, that's what I was gonna say. Sengoku's means big Buddha. Does that mean there was a big Buddha?
well,
so.
sorry, go
I
on.
think I think that that goes into Vegapunk's theory. I think that the original Nika just had a strong enough will that he was able to basically dream that he could do these things, and he was probably the first ever devil fruit because he dreamed that he could do all of these amazing things, and eventually through will and dreams, both things coinciding, made him basically the first devil fruit user without actually having to eat one.
Okay.
Then, once he passes, his will and dream was so strong, it manifested in the first ever devil fruit.
Okay.
And
But are you saying though that just to clear this up, I want to know, do you think the first Nika user was named Nika, was a person named Nika?
I think Nika actually was more of an epithet
Okay, that's
more than it was like people called him Nika. They called him the warrior of liberation. They
okay.
gave him all these accolades basically because that's the things that he did, and it's not reflective of what his true name was. They
Okay.
just gave him that, and once you liberate people and stuff like that, all these people's dreams and
Yeah.
wills to see you continue to free the uh free slaves and do all this stuff, all of that coincides into the continuing will that formed the fruit. The Gorosei and everyone has even said Zoans have a will of their own.
Yeah.
That was Nika's will that was passed on in physical form of the
Yeah.
fruit.
So I have something,
Nice.
but to give you a little like an extra thing you can add, the whole being called Nika thing, you could just say that he was the man himself was originally a slave and was given no name. He wasn't given any. He was born into slavery and wasn't even given the idea of being called anything other than slave. So when he rose up and liberated other slaves, they gave him a name. They called him Nika.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's also like the thought of, even if he somehow did have a name, what if his name was lost to time, and they had to give a name to someone like that, and they've just over the years they've
Years.
just spread that Nika was this warrior of liberation. Or it could even go to the fact that we don't really understand, and we probably never will, how to read the poneglyphs language. But it could be something similar to, over the years, the translation or the people who are able to read it have always read it as Nika versus what his actual name was.
Yeah.
Like Mamuden or something, for example.
Yes. Yeah, something similar to Larry's theory of it
Ex-
being like Mamuden. It could have been Mamu D, Mamuden
ex-
D, something.
I have a pretty gas timeline if we ever want to go over that I think is kind of like pretty spot on. But and my second thing to yours was I agree with the ancient kingdom, but I also happen to think that the all blue, and speaking of lost in translation, I think the all blue is the ancient kingdom. I think the all
Mhm.
blue is the ancient kingdom, and I think that's uh yeah, like it makes sense that it's got lost in time, like a bunch of every fish being there, like not necessarily fish, but every different race being there, and it just got lost in time from like being actual society versus like, you know, a place where there's every type of fish. So, but we can go into that another time because we were talking about D's. And um my thing, so I think that uh the D clan, I think they're descendants of the Shandians. And not just because Luffy was able to ring the bell. I think that'd be too obvious for it. And there are pictures of monkeys wearing straw hats, or what look like monkeys wearing straw hats on the top of the bell. But more than that, I think that like Dragon's tattoo is an ode to them. So I think their lineage is like kind of comes straight from Shandian. And Shandian, just like play on words like Shandian, like it's the middle syllable, as in like Monkey D, Luffy. Obviously, that's their middle name, initial name, whatever you want to call it. But to me, it's it just shows like through their lineage, like people that wanted to take down the government. I mean, even when you look at Garp, for example, like he's not, you know, like in like there's a world where you totally see him, you know, like in the Revolutionary Army, you know, like he's not like I don't I, I'm not like when I think, you know, like when I think of the Navy and the world government, like Garp doesn't necessarily fit the mold, you know. It's like the same kind of with Kobe, you know, like Kobe was just obviously he wanted to become Navy, but like I could see if he would have wound up on a Rev ship, like he could have I could see him being, you know, part of the Revolutionary Army. And so I just think, you know, with back to Garp, their lineage, like wanting to, you know, take down the government, it just shows that, like, I'm trying to think of a way to explain this in, uh, like, that there's people that conform to like society that do it like because they try and take it from the inside or think they can uh do it from the inside. Like I'm trying not to get super political with it is why I stopped for a second, but like, you know,
I know what you mean.
there's
They're
cops,
idealists.
yeah, there's cops that become cops because they think they can do it from the inside, you know, and um, you know, like it so him being a D, I don't think it's like I don't think it takes away from like what the mission of being a D is what I'm trying to get at. You know, like there's different people in different places doing different things that can be trying to take down the government. Because if it came to it, and when it does come to it, if the government was about to kill Luffy, I'm telling you that Garp is not going to let that happen. You know, and so to me, it's just like there's different, you know, stages of taking down the government, and you can do it from the inside. And I guess we'll see what happens, but like for me, the tattoo with dragon, Luffy with the bell, the monkey on with the straw hats, you know, just kind of all are odes to Shandians. And so uh that's where I think the D comes from originally. And yeah, broker.
Okay, so I like both of yours. Mine's different, but it's just it's there's a whole nother section of it I'll go into another time because it will take far too long in terms of. But I think that the D family were well. Oh, hang on one sec. Someone's got an echo. Oh, that's gone. Right. So basically, I think what it is that there was an island, and it was the island that is the farthest east that you can go. right next to the ancient kingdom, and it was the Dawn Island, and they were the Dawn tribe, and they were called that because they were the first ones to see the light of dawn when the sun rose. And I think that they were basically a separate island to the ancient kingdom, but they had almost like a symbiotic relationship, that they farmed something very specific that I won't go into now, and that it was done in trade with the ancient kingdom, and that only this tribe knew how to farm these creatures. Only them, no one else did. And that the ancient kingdom needed these creatures to be farmed. They couldn't do it themselves, so they were in a trade relationship with the Dawn Island. And I believe that Emu was born on the ancient kingdom, and almost like do either of you know the book The Boy in the Striped Pajamas?
I do not.
Is
And
that about never
yeah,
mind.
World War II. It
Okay.
basically it was a there was
You
a
you got to bring up
concentration.
like the saddest book in history.
Well, no, but like I say, it's because it's a sad thing that's going to be paralleled in One Piece, I believe. And I think that basically there was the Dawn Island was almost like a concentration camp, that they had to stay there. They weren't allowed to go to the Ancient Kingdom, and Ancient Kingdom people weren't allowed to go there. But that a young Emu, as a little boy, formed this relationship, basically like almost like through a fence, with somebody from the Dawn Kingdoms, and which this person would have been, I believe it's Joy Boy. And they became friends, and they basically broke the rules and went off on their own voyage and adventure together. And in that journey, they come across the Mermaid Princess. And the Mermaid Princess, as we know, was they also gave prophecies, right? The same way Charlie does. I think basically they got told that, look, one day you will be killed by someone with the initial D. And that's why current Emu is just paranoid about them non-stop, so that because it would mean the end of like their rule, all of it. And that's why they're trying to get rid of as many Ds as they can, or at least keep them under some sort of control, like they do with Garp, where they've got like they're the ones in charge of them.
So can I ask you something? So do you think that then, if that's the case, like the D has like nothing special to it other than being like someone with this initial will kill you and it's passed down?
So sometimes it's passed down, but as Tarku said, sometimes people adopt it, which is why why Emu's never been able to get rid of every D, because eventually someone comes along and just takes on the moniker, either through like again, I think that poneglyphs out there, as we know now, some of them mention D with the initial and stuff, like the one with Lily. So that
Yeah.
people over the centuries, they read these poneglyphs, take up the initial as the moniker for themselves, and then Emu has to start all over again. It's like I just got rid of these people. Now I've got to do it all over again. And this is sort of like that, as we've been told, there's a repeating history going on. So that no matter what Emu does, he can never really get rid of them all. So he's having to play a constant defensive game, so that when they do pop up, he has to get rid of them as quickly as possible, but without drawing too much attention as to why. If everyone in the world found out that the D clan, anyone with the initial D was being hunted, then people start to ask questions. When people ask questions, they go back through history, they look up these things, and then it causes more problems. It's like why they've never gone directly after the Revolutionary Army, because if you go after them all straight away, it draws attention to their cause and brings more people on towards them.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm not trying to be that guy, but I think that contradicts a little bit with your emu theory, like devil fruit theory. But
Oh no, I know. So this is what. So when we do the ancient kingdom conversation,
okay,
that's like then I can bring it back to this, because I think that basically what they did, their grand achievement was to create devil fruits through science. So Vegapunk's idea that it's through people's imaginations, that was true, but it was the imaginations of the inhabitants of the ancient kingdom. And
uh,
sorry, go on.
they don't ever explain how Chopper's quote unquote dad lived so long, right? They never, right?
No, well, again, so you mean Dr.
Hiraluk?
Kureha? Oh,
Yeah.
no, so no, Hiraluk wasn't that
No.
old. Kureha was. She's
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
147.
Kureha. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Again, we still don't know. It's one of those things where it matters because she's so old, but then it's never really referenced. So it's like, was it just an artistic choice by Oda, or does it mean something?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't
I'm
think they ever explained it, but I didn't want to say anything towards it. And yeah.
So, just quickly going to the thing. So, I think that the way that, as we know, with lineage factor now for Zoans, I think that the ancient kingdom were either involved in or aware of the fact that the world was flooding. So they basically made their own ark. They took the DNA, the lineage factor of every living creature, every single creature they could find, and that's why there are Zoan fruits, because they were created using lineage factor of these animals that they brought onto the ancient kingdom all on purpose.
So then, do you think then that like mythical or ancient, do you think that those are creatures that
Yes,
actually
so
existed
Oda
back
said
then?
this. Yeah, Oda said this. So when so it was in an SBS a long time ago, where I think it was about Marco. So it was around the time of like the Marineford. It's like, I thought Zoans had to be like real creatures, because that was one of the rules of Zoans. It had to be a creature that existed. And Oda
Mhm.
basically said that these creatures, all these creatures, dragons and stuff, they all existed at some point in the One Piece world's history. So like dinosaurs used to exist. And he said he didn't give like a time frame, but he said that these creatures either do exist somewhere in the world or used to exist. So he said even if they're extinct, those creatures can still be Zoans.
Well, also Eastern, like in Eastern history, like a dragon is a snake, like westernized dragons are the things like with wings,
Like,
like that.
yes, like we see on Punk Hazard when Vegapunk was
Exact.
trying to make a dragon fruit. He was trying to copy Kaido's, and that his failed attempts used the lineage factor of Western style dragons.
Yeah.
Mm. That's interesting, and I like it. I don't know if I like Emu and Joy Boy being close. I don't know why. That's like the one thing that maybe rubs me the wrong way. I want them to be like
Yeah.
on site, hate each other.
Oh, but
Um,
the problem I have with that is the fact that then it doesn't really, like, if they've just hated each other from the get go, there's no real weight to their rivalry, to their animosity. I like the idea of
Yes, there is.
it.
It's called Lily. It's called Lily. That's the weight to their animosity.
yeah, that's what I'm feeling as well.
But that's what I was going to say. So how brilliant would it be if this was people that Lily was in love. So Emu was in love with Lily as children, as when they got older, teenagers and stuff like that. But that Lily was in love with Joy Boy, and it was just that awkward love triangle of being in. So your best friend, the girl you love, is in love with your best friend and not you, because it's heartbreaking, because you care about your friend, you obviously want him to be happy, but you don't want him to be happy with the girl that you love that doesn't love you back.
Yeah, so like I understand that. The way I see it is Emu to me is the embodiment of control and structure and
Conformity.
basically, yeah, conformity, and basically like he just pines for, or she just pines for that sort of control. And then on top of that, I feel like Joy Boy is obviously the liberation, the freedom to do all these things. And to me, the rivalry comes where, Emu convinces Lily, hey, we're going to take out the ancient kingdom. This Joy Boy guy is a threat. He's someone who can't be controlled. He doesn't conform. He does whatever he wants. He's free. He's the first pirate ever. He's sailing the seas. He's talking to other people. He's showing them, he's freeing slaves, like he's doing all this. We have to stop him. And then Lily's like, all right, bet we're going to stop this guy. And then she actually meets Joy Boy and realizes, wow, this guy is not the threat that he was made out to be by Emu. I need to join his cause. And that's where the great betrayal is. So it's still kind of a twisted lovers thing where Emu loves Lily and she loves Joy Boy. But at the same time, it's disconnected enough because they're so polar opposites. And to me, I feel like Luffy and Blackbeard have that mirror type relationship where when they met each other, they were polar opposites. It was like they hated each other from the jump. He's like, I hate cherry pies. Blackbeard's like, I love these cherry pies. You know, like that's the type of antithesis of a relationship that I want them to have.
See, that's why I don't want it, because we already have it with Blackbeard. That's what you literally read my mind. I said we already have that relationship. That's Luffy and Blackbeard. That's already in the story. I kind of want something that, again, because remember, this is Emu and Luffy. It's not Emu and Joy Boy. Emu hating Luffy is just because he reminds him of the man that, in his mind, stole the woman he loved. Like, you could have that same story, like I say, and then have it skip forward in time, and it's like, oh, Joy Boy did eventually marry Lily. They got together and still like had children, you know, that sort of way. So that even back then, Joy Boy was, when he was a child, he wasn't interested in Lily. Like, he was almost like Luffy, where he just has that almost like asexual personality where he just doesn't look at women that way. But as he got older, that sort of, he almost grew out of it and it developed and he had a relationship. So you have Emu hating his best friend for, in his mind, you stole the woman I love. Like, if not for you, she would have loved me. It's almost childish, but this is because, again, like I've told you both in the past, I believe, I think Emu is he's a full-grown adult, but he's stuck in the body of a child. And that, as you said, he was the first person to have the immortality surgery via the Ope Ope no Mi done on him. But when it was done, now he can't age. He has eternal youth, but in the body of a child.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
So here's my thing.
But
let me
go ahead.
I agree with Taku, but where mine differs, it's that I think that Lily was like given up to him, Emu, like as like here's like a forced marriage, arranged marriage.
Oh, like an arranged marriage. Yeah, got
it. To like complete the 20 kingdoms, like this is how it's gonna be, right? And so then when she met Joy Boy and realized either realized that A, he's not the threat, or B, wow, look at this other way to live. I've never felt so free. She goes off with him and they go and, you know, they go off. So I think it was more of like an arranged marriage. Like, I don't think she ever wanted to be with him, except for when it came back to the point. I think she was watching Joy Boy just like absolutely whoop the shit out of Emu and couldn't take it, couldn't watch him die. And that's when I think she used the fruit. I think it was like, you know, like she still had, you know, whether you have feelings for him or not, I don't know, but she couldn't bear to be like the cause of someone's death. And so she gave her life. And that's why there's still the picture of her in Emu's, you know, room. And yeah, I think it was like more of a gift to establish like that we fall in line with Emu.
So my only pushback, and then we won't have to dwell on this too long, we can pivot, but I was pretty sure, and this may be just me, and maybe there's like a someone else that would have been puppeteering the fact that there's an arranged marriage, but I was pretty sure that Alabasta was like a matriarchal kingdom where the queen was the ruler more so than the king. Because that was like, I think they said that maybe I'm misremembering, but her brother taking over for her when she never came back was the first time there was ever a king of Alabasta.
I actually think you're absolutely right.
So I mean, who are you gonna you're gonna pressure the queen into marrying someone, you know?
But that could have been like, like her brother, like for all we know, it could have been like a big play, like a coup or something being like, hey, like you have to, or maybe she just felt that she had to do this for
For
the
her
kingdom.
Well,
Yeah.
this
And then she gets there and realized how bad, like, like I hate to say it, but like a Joffrey situation, and realizes how bad and how evil this guy is, and then sees the other way of life.
you
But
could have. Oh, sorry, I think you're done. Go on.
no, 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 no. I broker. If you want the last word, and then I think we should pivot.
So I just
Yeah.
say you could add again. You could add to it. It could almost be like with the real world version of Cleopatra and Alexander the Great, where that marriage was arranged. So there's conflicting reports, obviously, but the wedding, the marriage itself was again Cleopatra was the ruler, but it was organized by her court, like the people that were in charge of the day to day and everything, the ones that decided laws and politics, the actual politicians. They were the ones that arranged it. So even though she's the ruler, you still have that group below that are the ones that are doing all the arrangements with foreign nations and that sort of stuff, all the diplomacy.
Yeah. I mean, I think we are all in agreement that it has to do something with Lily and probably love. And as much as I like don't want to see this end in like a love triangle, I just keep on like it's where it always goes to for me.
It's a
Yeah.
tale as old as time. It's one of those things where it works because we've all experienced it. Every single person here, I say, all three of us here, we've all fancied someone that didn't fancy us back. Do you know what I mean? That's
I don't know. I'm pretty fancy.
yeah.
All right, Taku, why don't you bring us into our next one?
All right, so the next one is the next topic is what happened to Kaido and Big Mom, as well as what their role in the future will be. And if Broker, if you want to take it away since you were last to go for the last topic, and then we'll go to NYC Anime Nerd, and then back to me.
Sure. So I think that what happened after the events of Wano is that Big Mom and Kaido, as we saw, they were both knocked into the lava. I think the magma, the lava of Wano, is where Sea Prism Stone is made. In the parallel to like the real world obsidian, the volcanic glass that is made via pressure and volcanoes. And I think that because they're both devil fruit users, they couldn't escape, they couldn't get out of it, and that when that hardened, now they're trapped. And that I would love to see a cover story where we have Yamato and Momonosuke going and basically feeding them both just plain rice, the same way that Yamato was imprisoned and that was all she was fed when she was imprisoned. Because you could also then, like Kaido, if same as Doflamingo always wanted a newspaper, Kaido would want to know everything that Luffy is doing because Luffy defeated him. Therefore, in Kaido's mind, Luffy is Joy Boy. That's what he thought. That's what he was waiting for. It's why he wanted to see if, because he said, "Oh, looks like you couldn't be Joy Boy either," when he thought he'd defeated him the first time. So that now he's being told this information, and I think that what Oda will probably do is give Big Mom amnesia again, so that she doesn't know who or what's going on. Like maybe she's back to being a child in her mind again. We're definitely going to come back to that. So that
Yeah.
then, when I believe Blackbeard arrives at Wano to get Pluton, thanks to the information from what's the name of the guy with the swamp fruit?
Caribou.
Caribou, yeah. Once he gets there and obviously wrecks the entire island in order to get access to Pluton, that will then set Big Mom and Kaido free. They'll both be badly, badly injured, but that at some point later in the story, I believe that both Big Mom and Kaido, they basically join Luffy's Grand Fleet when he goes up against Blackbeard. Severely weakened, like they're not anywhere near as strong as they used to be. They're significantly nerfed, but they're still capable of like fighting on some sort of level where even if they're just there to take out fodder against Blackbeard's Grand Fleet. Because remember, Blackbeard's fleet at the moment is significantly larger than Luffy's, significantly. So that, and again, it's only going to grow as we get closer to the end of the story, so that then we can have we can have them in the story still, so that, because remember, Oda loves doing like 1 or 2 panel cutaways to characters we've seen before and stuff like that. So I
Definitely.
think that's their job again, and Kaido would definitely do it. And Big Mom, especially if she's lost her memory, she would be willing to do it. Pudding will probably alter her memories, show that she believes all of the things that happened to her that were done by Luffy were now done by Blackbeard. So that
Mhm.
she, it's this forced animosity that, again, Pudding has no love for Blackbeard. She was kidnapped by him. So if she can just say, "Oh, I can help Sanji by making Big Mom believe that Blackbeard is the enemy," I'll do that.
Huh. Huh. So I definitely could see that happening. I want to say for me, so we've talked about that, and I definitely see that, but I also could see I don't if they come back, I don't think it's both of them. I think it's only going to be one of them, and I think it's going to be Big Mom.
Okay.
And I think it's because of all the years she's accumulated from people. And I think so. I want to say it's 1143, where Summers uses his fruit on the kids, and they all have their
Yeah.
nightmares. So if you look in the top left, there's something that looks really identical to Prometheus. Then if you look in the bottom left, there looks like a very skinny, small Big Mom. And having it be Elbath, what would a nightmare of, someone on Elbath be,
Well, it's
could be
remember, Big Mom caused a lot of trouble on Elbap. Her first
that
wig out
that
over food. So there's going to be some giants still alive that have told stories to their
no, but
children about Big Mom.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So if you look at it, I want to say it's 1143, but it's when they first all it's there's a picture that it looks like Prometheus and it looks like Big Mom,
I
except
agree.
for Big Mom looks kind of little, which would make sense. Maybe she's
She
not
was a
eating as
child.
much.
Yeah,
Maybe her muscles atrophied, and so maybe she comes back and she's just like a wee bit smaller, like a chunky kid, like how she was when she was a kid. But it's funny because in the dream it looks like Big Mom when she was, in her kid when we see the flashbacks of her as a kid on Elbap, So that's, I think that, it's been passed down, like, like maybe those are the ghost stories
exactly. Yeah, you would.
that they tell the kids,
You would
so they do
definitely
their
you would definitely
that
tell them about it.
so they do their homework or something,
Yep.
like
Eat their
the
vegetables.
boogeyman. Don't do it because Big Mom's gonna come, And so the fact that that's one of their people's nightmares and it's drawn into that, I think that's just like a little context clue that she's alive
Yeah,
and
just
that she's coming. Because
one
I
thing
I
though.
could understand like it just being a nightmare vision if it was Big Mom, but the fact that they show something that looks pretty damn close to Prometheus, that it
There's one of Zeus's. There's a nightmare of Zeus, isn't there?
is there? I thought it was.
There's a thundercloud.
Oh,
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
it? I
Yeah.
thought it was
it's
a flame cloud. I'm so
it's
sorry.
no, it's the one that Frankie just took down last chapter.
Yeah.
Is the same? Oh yeah, because they went to this. Okay,
Yeah, so
which would
yeah,
make sense because she did get the what's the new woman's thundercloud name? Because Nami has
Hera.
Hera. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that would make even more sense then, because like it's not like the kids knew about Hera. Like if anything, they would know about
Yeah.
the one that the homies mentioned, the one that Nami has.
Zeus.
Oh yeah, they
Zeus.
mentioned Zeus and that the
guy with
what
the
was his
shield.
name? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
told-
homies.
Yes,
What is
he
his
talks
name?
about Zeus.
Yeah, he's like,
specifically.
that's a high-ranking homie. He's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So it would make it would make sense that like how it wouldn't even make like it makes more sense that Big Mom would come back if it's not Prometheus and
Yeah.
it's
This-
either Hera or Zeus. You
This is one of
know,
the things. It's like if either of them are alive, we know Big Mom is because the homies are still there. When Mother Caramel died, her homies disappeared because Big Mom had to create new ones in their image. They weren't still there. So the fact that like Zeus is still there, the Shield one is still there, all of the ones on Whole Cake, they're all still there. So at the very least, Big, even if like again on the verge of death, she is still alive. And just to say,
wait,
sorry, go
Broker,
on.
I got to interrupt you. I don't think we have proof that Mother Caramels are still are gone.
No, no, they are because she calls for them and they don't respond. When she eats them all, right, and they're all dead, and she realizes she has the power, they're not around. She makes them specifically because she misses the old ones.
No, I know. She goes. Mother Caramel used to put her hands like this, and I
Yeah,
remember.
and then
I
she
know
makes
the
them. Yeah,
panel well because I was currently had a or like recently had a conversation with someone. Is Mother Caramel and Big Mom the same person now? Like, is one Big Mom when like when she's having hunger pains, and one, like it's a split personality is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
the only problem with that is we actually see panels of Mother Caramel before we even meet Big Mom.
no,
Before
no,
because
I know,
she's dropped off on the island beforehand.
yeah,
Yeah. So the I think that Broker's right, just because when she does eat Mother Caramel, like everybody is gone when she comes to.
yeah,
And so like I feel like Mother Caramel, I mean, she used her homies. Once she made the fire into a homie, she was able to utilize them, and so, I mean, unless all of a sudden Big Mom was like crazy and was like eating Mother Caramel and then just grabbed the son too and just ate it
yeah.
as well, like, which, it's not
I mean,
beyond the
everything
pale.
was gone. I mean,
Yeah.
everything was though.
Yeah, it's not beyond the pale, but I agree with Broker. I think that it's not like Boa's devil fruit where like it stays once you're done. I think that the homies would disappear, and the fact that
But
the lifespan of like the shield that what's his name has still is living, I think is a good indicator.
Agreed.
um and the reason I
yeah,
say that is it would be natural if like the lifespan that she puts into an object or whatever, it runs its course for however many years or whatever she puts in it, and then it
yeah.
just dies
So
naturally.
Oda actually mentioned this. Oda talked about this because it was with like NYC said, Big Mom is not able to extend her own life using souls. She can't make herself live longer. She can repair injuries, but she can't make herself like if she takes thousands of years from people, she can't then live for thousands of years. And that depending on how many, exactly like Notaku said, so she took the year, what is it, a year's lifespan from people every year or something like that on Whole Cake. Right? If you
Yeah,
wanted to
it's
live,
like 6 months or
oh, so yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, but she was doing that for literally since she had Whole Cake as a place. So it's been going on for decades, and that she. For example, she doesn't have to take 6 month from somebody and put 6 months into an to make a homie. She can make that homie live for as long as she wants. She can put years worth or decades or centuries worth into individual homies, unless it's ones made from her own soul that they live as long as she does. So ones that
Mm.
are given with her own soul. So the Prometheus, Zeus, Hera, and what's the sword called?
Napoleon.
Napoleon. Yeah, they don't have a set amount of life left. They won't ever run out, whereas normal homies will.
Hmm.
Wait, let me get this straight. So you're saying that like if she took years from somebody else and put them into a homie, that when they die, it would die, or when its years ran out, its
Only when the
years would.
time runs out. When the time runs out. So that one that is in the hands of a giant, if you were going to take lifespan from a giant, you can take significantly more than you can from a human. So if that giant was again, remember she used to take
But
entire like a whole person's
but
every year of their life before.
sorry to cut you off, but that shield belonged to his father, who's dead, right?
The
Was it?
I
shield did, but not the homie inside it.
I don't think that he died. I think that they had an encounter. He never like referred to him as dead.
No.
That is true. We just haven't seen him.
Yeah. Now, granted, so I don't think I think that it's just the lifespan because remember she took what was it? She took 50 years from Pedro.
Yep.
And I'm sure she used that to make homies, and we didn't see any homies like disappear when he died because I feel like
Exactly.
that would have been the perfect time.
Yeah, to cut
And
away. Exactly.
and also same with what was his name, Beppo's brother. When
Yeah.
she took his life, he literally died. Like,
Yeah.
but she still had that lifespan in her hand,
One
so
of her
she was able
children
to
as
give
well,
that.
didn't she? But the one that when she was looking for Croc on Boo, she killed one of her children. She took all his life.
So she did not kill him because he
Really?
appears later in a panel, and I got really mad about it. I was like, "Are
Oh, that's
you
Yeah.
kidding me?"
Wait, what
like,
panel?
yeah, I
So
thought he was
it's
dead.
literally when she's having
He's
her
a-
hunger pangs, he like tries to bring her back and like be like, "No, don't do this, mama." And she's like, "Life or was it life or soul?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "No, mom, don't." And she takes what they say is all of his lifespan.
Yeah, they
And
say
then
it
you
loads
see
of
him
times.
later. I got so pissed. I was
Oh,
literally fuming.
that's so. I know. Again, I know
If
they
it was,
have to
if
do
that
it
was in the
legally.
anime, I'd be like, okay. But if that's on
Is
a
that? Yeah, that's
panel,
my next question. Is that manga? This happened in the manga.
I'm almost positive it's in the manga. Let me double check here.
um, how do you guys feel about that though? In the sense of like, well, Boa could have been bluffing for all we know when she said, "If you take my fruit,
Yeah,
they
I
can't come
thought
back."
that.
She could have been
I hope
bluffing.
not.
But how do you feel about the fact that maybe there's different rules for different devil fruits like that? Like
Oh,
they like
definitely a case by case basis. Yeah.
okay. So so that's how I felt about them. A friend of mine thinks there should be like uh they should all have the same type of like all Zoans should have the same set of rules. All so
Oh, so sorry, I misunderstood. I think every devil fruit, yeah, they should all have rules. So I have a thing about fiction, right? Any kind of fictional writing where if you establish a set of rules, you should always stick to it. Like in my mind, kryptonite should always work on Superman. If there's a rule, like you devil fruit users, when they go into water, they become hammers, they sink. If you suddenly take that rule away because your haki is strong enough or whatever, I hate that. Like what's Bartolomeo, right? Bartolomeo makes unbreakable barriers. They're unbreakable. If
you love
somebody,
bringing this up. You
I know,
love bringing this up.
because
You
it's a
love bringing
rule.
how it should. No
Because
one should be able to break
exactly
through.
because it's a rule. That's the point. It's like Taku says. If
Okay,
suddenly, sorry,
so
go on.
I've got a question for you. When Beepo, well, Taku's looking for this. When Beepo's swimming away with Law, should he be able to carry him away
Yes, because we know
because of the
that.
Rumble Ball?
No, it's not
Okay,
about that. It's about the fact that Beppo's not a devil fruit user. Beppo he's literally carrying Law on his back. So
but
it's just he's
but
just.
parts of Law are in the water, and if you say they should sink like an anchor,
Oh no,
it
that's it. No,
wouldn't.
that's when you're fully submerged. So again,
Okay, okay, okay.
this was covered a while ago. Like they can have baths, they can have
Yeah,
showers.
yeah.
Like we've seen it in the
Well,
manga. Like
obviously.
Luffy can still move his arms and legs, but when you are fully submerged, you're basically paralyzed. You can't move. You sink.
Okay, so it's Charlotte Moscato, and this punk supposedly had his lifespan taken. Now,
Can
in the
can you
One
put it in the
Piece,
comments?
yeah.
The chat, like the chapter. No, you don't
Okay.
have to do it right now. Just at
Oh,
some point, if you want to read it first.
yeah. So is supposedly now this is what the One Piece wiki is saying, and I didn't look up the actual verbiage. Supposedly, she took half his life.
What?
So supposedly he's 40, but she took 40 years from him in that moment. And it said that he was knocked unconscious after doing so, and he only recovered 3 days later, and he was on the Queen Mama Chanter, which is like her big ship,
Yeah.
when they were chasing the Thousand Sunny. So that is
But
What?
no,
But that doesn't.
they remark on the fact that he's dead. They literally, when it happens, they remark on the fact that she killed him.
they definitely do, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because they're
Yeah.
like, she just killed one of her own kids,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
exactly.
then literally he's fine. Yeah, I know, it's not great.
Again, this is that same, like we were talking about before the stream. If Pell can survive a nuke to the face, anyone in One Piece can survive anything. It doesn't matter. You can be, again. If someone told me now in 100 chapters time we find out that Odin is actually still alive, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure.
No. 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 No.
No, no, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be annoyed, but I wouldn't be
He's
surprised.
ramen soup broth. He is the sake.
Well, no, no. You could literally just have, like, he's got he'll have a plaster, like a band-aid on his forehead where he got shot, but he secretly survived, or Kaido shot him with a blank and allowed him to escape. Things like that. Again, I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't be surprised by it. It wouldn't be, like, shocked.
So
I
I would need to look this up, but in the unofficial trans, just going off of the unofficial trans, when she grabs his lifespan, she says 40 years.
and he's 40 years old. That's so weird.
Yeah, so then he became 80 by definition. But then literally 2 panels down, it says she killed her own son.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. It's like he's dead.
The chapter is 829.
829.
God,
Yes.
that seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
It was so long ago. Are you kidding me?
Oh my
But yeah,
god.
so that was when so like the cover page on it is for One Piece Film Gold. So yes,
No
it was
way.
a while ago.
Whoa. That's
We've
mad.
gotten really bad movies since then.
Yep. No, Film Red's a good movie.
I love Film Red.
Yeah, same here. But I like musicals, I suppose. So
I do as well.
biased in
That's
that
why
way,
I
yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
I like music. I like musicals. That's not why it's not
Yeah.
good. It's not good because that's when they revealed Gear 5 like 3 days before Gear 5 was being
Only for
written.
anime watchers. It was
Yeah,
only,
only for anime
like,
watchers.
manga readers. It had been a thing for months. and
Yeah,
months.
but for anime watchers, like seeing it first time in a movie though, like I think that's so like
really you
What are you talking
only get to see it like in
Like, it's-
black and white, and then you get to see the back of it. Like it really was.
Anime-
People
it's-
were like, probably like, man, that's so crazy. He might get another form. It kind of looks crazy.
no,
But
they were
besides-
not. They were not.
It doesn't matter because anime watchers get spoiled by the intro songs.
That is true.
There's so many spoilers in intros like that. So at this point, they should just shut up and learn to read.
Not to mention, literally the panel of Luffy like dying and then like his hair changing was literally everywhere.
Well,
I couldn't escape it.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
that is
die.
true.
He doesn't die
Yeah.
because if he died, the fruit would have reincarnated. His
Yeah.
heart his heart stopped.
Yeah, he pulled
Hey,
in an L.
Because we know that there are no rules in One Piece.
Shut
and
the hell up.
Your
Shut up.
your heart. If your heart stops, it doesn't mean you're dead. You
Well,
could
no,
just
no,
have
but
a
it doesn't.
band-aid over your forehead. and
Heart stopping isn't death. Brain death is death.
All right. Well, anyway, I want to just quick go over because I didn't get to touch on what I believe is going to happen to Kaido and Big Mom yet.
Yeah,
and then we can wrap this up so we don't go too far over. But so I agree. I think that they are in the lava. I think that they are just monsters to themselves, that I believe that this won't slow them down. I believe Kaido does get released, and so does Big Mom, if she hasn't already. And I believe that I feel like, if anything, what's going to wind up happening is the Big Mom pirates were not far away from Wano when all of that was going down. I mean, Sparrow was even there, and some of the Big Mom pirates were still probably searching and were probably able to locate her, because when she fell down, and the only person that we see in the lava, because her homies weren't able to hear her, so they didn't follow her down. I believe her homies probably led the Big Mom pirates to her, and so they were able to release her.
Can I say something real quick that just made me think? Also, it's not like Morgan's just was like, released the newspaper that, Luffy at that point, like Luffy, Izuyonko, Big Mom and Kaido, are dead. Like, I'm sure the Big Mom pirates would be like on their way to go get her, if not bury her, like to bury her or whatever, they're not just gonna like be like, oh, she's dead, nice. And I'm sure they'd know, because the homies would disappear that are on Whole Cake,
So they know she's alive.
Yeah. Back
So,
to you. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So I think that she's very much alive, and I think that now this is me, tinfoil hat. This is probably not going to happen,
Nice.
but this is what I think. I think there's a good chance that she shows up on Elbaf. She has too many connections to Elbaf in itself, and plus we know the island isn't super far from Wano. That I think that she shows up there. She's got so many connections. She can fill in the blanks when it comes to the Loki Lola stuff if he doesn't do it. But not to mention, they specifically mentioned the two weaknesses of Elbaf are the two homies that she has.
That is so true.
And there was something at the beginning of post-time skip that happened that makes me believe that Luffy is going to fight her. When he called her and was talking all that shit over that transponder snail, she said, "You got a lot of spunk. Come to the new world." And he says, "I'm coming to the new world, and I'm going to kick your ass all over it." And meaning that he is going to beat her all over the new world. And he has done nothing but that, right? Ever since he got to Fishman Island was the first thing that he beat her with and ruined her day because he took all the candy. Then on top of that, he gave her the tamate box, which ended up blowing up her castle. Then on top of that, he literally beat Caesar. And the main reason why he wanted to beat that ass wasn't just because he had that great plan with Law. It was because he was experimenting on kids. The experimentation of the kids was because Big Mom wanted gigantic people. So he beat Caesar there, ruined her plans there. He went to Dressrosa and stopped the Smiles, which, broker, obviously he's the underworld broker, and ruined a bunch of stuff that I'm sure she was dealing in all sorts of underworld stuff. She had everyone from the underworld. Probably Doflamingo would have been at the wedding had he not been locked up.
Remember when we first see Caesar on Punk Hazard talking to the underworld? We actually see two of the Big Mom pirates watching the
Baron
recording.
Tamago and Peckham.
So they were definitely involved. They were watching the live stream.
Yes. And so and then we fast forward, we went straight from there to Zoe, where we actually didn't mess with her at all, but it was only because we didn't know what was happening with Sanji. But also Peckham's got done in there, and it was all because of Sanji and all the Straw Hats saving the people of Zoe that Peckham's even wanted to let them go. And Beige was like, "Nah, we ain't having that." So he messed with her there. Then we go to Whole Cake. We ruin her day royally.
Her week.
Yeah, we not only blow up her castle, we take her poneglyphs. We literally help an assassination attempt. We make it ruined so that she can't get the Germa technology. We beat up 2 of her sons, like, and then we take one of her best assets, being Jinbei. Like, he has literally kept his promise of beating her ass all over the new world.
There's more, remember, because
Yeah, there is more. There is
no,
more.
no,
Also,
there's a really important bit because Morgan's, he puts in the paper that Big Mom lost. It's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
when did I lose? Big Mom's like, what the hell are you talking about? When did I lose? Damn you,
Yeah.
Morgans.
And who becomes the 5th emperor? Luffy. Like, he
Exactly.
you know, not only that, he beats the unbeatable Katakuri. Then they go to Wano and it's all over again. She
Yep.
gets beat, and not even by Luffy at that point, by
by the
2
band.
by the crew, you know?
Yep.
And so he's literally kept his promise since Fishman Island to beat her ass all over the new world. The last place he gets to actually get a free 1v1 with her, because he's going to need to test out what I assume is going to be Scopper Gaban teaching him new forms of hockey. And who's the perfect person? Someone who is so incredibly strong and
Durable,
so
I have this. So Big Mom so far is the only character that seems to have this extra durability. Where remember they had to like distract her with the Mother Caramel picture frame in order to lower that defense. I think that's what Scupper Gaban teaches Luffy. That Big Mom learned it when she was on Elbaf. This is how giant children defend themselves. Giant children, they have this like they learn an ability to almost like it's like armament haki, but it's always on. It's never down, so that you're able to defend yourself against sneak attacks, things that you don't see coming, or things that are too like speed blitz you and stuff. So that he can learn that. That can be the haki he learns, a non-stop version.
So I actually have a different theory, but go ahead, Anime.
All right. I was just gonna say, do you think we'll see Big Mom awakened on Elbaf?
I think there's a possibility.
I'll say so. We can add that as a new topic. Why weren't Big Mom and Kaido awakened? Because I've got a whole thing on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I want to know that, but we'll do that a different because
Another
we're
time.
running
That's what
out
I'm
of
saying.
time.
A different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can end with yours.
So I think that there's a possibility that happens. I also think that this is where because Katakuri will figure out that Big Mom is on Elbaf, and he's going to show up there, and that's where eventually we're going to get this moment where Katakuri joins with the rest of the Big Mom pirates once he basically takes over, where they join the Grand Fleet, and then they spin the block for Pudding.
Yeah.
For that.
So this is what I think. So I know it's again a lot of people disagree with me on the Big Mom like joining the Luffy's Grand Fleet, that
No,
sort
they
of thing through
need 'em.
Katakuri.
They
You know,
need
it's
'em.
not even that. I
The
think
Knights
the
are too strong.
No,
The
I
Knights
think
are
that
too
no wait,
strong.
that's what I'm saying. The Big Mom pirates, I think they literally fracture. They split in half. One goes with Perospero and Oven and stuff like that. The others stay with Katakuri, and that the other side of the Big Mom pirates, they end up joining Blackbeard's Grand Fleet. So it's a civil war between the Big Mom pirates. Because remember, some of them care about each other, but they have no love for each other just because they're like brothers and sisters. It's like some of them really hate each other. What's the name of the one that loved Katakuri then laughed at him when they saw his face?
Flambe,
that bitch.
There's no
She
loyalty
sucks.
there. There's no loyalty.
Dude.
So it would be a perfect way to even the playing field, to balance the battlefield out.
Well, see, that's the exact opposite reason why I think Katakuri needs to be the captain, because everybody loves Katakuri. I think that he's the conqueror that can basically bring them in.
No, remember, he lost now. They loved him. A lot of them say they love him because he's undefeatable. The fact that he's lost now, he will lose some of that love.
You know how they have Sake to like join the crew? They're gonna have snack time, and Katakuri's gonna pull down his scarf, and Luffy's gonna laugh.
I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I do believe that is what happens. And I think that would be the perfect thing, especially this is why I think that this will be the setting piece in which Elbaf rallies under Luffy, because he beats the one person that has caused the most chaos in
Yeah,
Elbaf
that's what I was about
by
to say.
beating Big Mom.
You could
And
even
I
have a little
think
bit of foreshadowing for it. You could
Let
have
him finish. Wait, Broker. I want to hear what he had to say.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
so I think that is the reason why. And I think in doing that, they see that, you know, with everything that goes on at Elbaf, I think that is the key, especially, you know, Loki's backstory and everything like that, in which they, in Elbaf, they finally change the rules and Haradin becomes the king of the giants. And since Haradin is already allied under Luffy, it just, the whole country rallies around him. You know, it's not just when it comes to like Luffy and the way he liberates people, it's not so simple as, oh, I just unshackled you. It's the liberation from things that don't make sense, you know, things that, you know, similar to how Rebecca was like, oh, I can't be with the soldier, you know, I can't be with Kyros, and he doesn't want to be with me because, well, he doesn't want to ruin my life. He's a murderer, blah, blah, blah. Luffy was like, no, F that. I'm taking you from the castle. I'm going to take you to him. You talk to him in person. He liberates them from these these basically unprogressive mind states.
It's like
where,
Aladdin.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and so he basically does this, and that is how Elbaf rallies around him. Now, I think Kaido on the other end, I think that he does get free when Blackbeard comes. And I think that he's going to finally see that Yamato has united his old beast pirates under her and realizes, wow, this is the person that should be leading us to the future, you know. And then I think that, you know, Blackbeard coming, he's like, okay, well, now I need to defend my daughter, because he sees the value in her strength of being able to rally all of them together. And then that's why and the best part about this is it's two Yonkos then taking the back seat for their younger, you know, the next generation to take up the mantle and actually do what they never could. For Yamato, it's join Joy Boy in liberating and going to the greatest war. For Big Mom, it's actually having a family that actually cares about them. And she'll see Katakuri doing that.
Yeah.
That's always what she wanted. She wanted this big family. And so it's just the changing of the old guard in both senses.
Exactly.
So my only thing about this is the knights, the Gorosei, Emu, the admirals have to be so strong. Blackbeard, they have to be so strong because the Straw Hats are already OP.
Yeah.
Like, imagine they get Katakuri. Are you kidding me? Like, and Elbaf Giants. Like, come on. Like in the next few chapters of, these Holy Knights better fucking wipe the snot out of the Straw Hats then, because otherwise, it doesn't. It's not going to make sense to me. And I love that theory, but like, the Straw Hats are OP right now. Like, you can't tell me they're not.
I think that they are. To me, the Straw Hats, we think they are there. I don't think they are.
You don't think
the top four are, the rest of them aren't.
Who's your top four?
Disagree.
Who's your top four?
Real
quick, both of you, who's your top four? And then Taku can have the last word, and then we gotta go.
Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei. Those are the most strongest pirates on the Straw Hat crew. No contest.
I very much agree, and I also believe that
I think Robin's a close fit. I think Robin's a close.
No.
I've got plenty of theories about how these things change, but I think that Jinbei and Sanji are probably conquerors that just need to unlock it. I thought that Jinbei was a conqueror when he fought Who's Who. He had a lot of black lightning coming off of him when he punched him in the face, because he basically one-shot him. But
Sanji's got the Germa genes. Like I don't want to see him get conquerors. Like I don't need like all 4 of them having conquerors to me is lame. It's
I know.
lame.
I'd go further. By the end of the story, I can see every Straw Hat being a conqueror.
I'm about to throw my computer across the room, guys.
No, well, so the way I see it is, and this is what I think Luffy is an amalgamation of both Roger and Rocks in the way that he has a crew full of heavy hitters.
Yeah.
By end of series, I think that that's what we'll get. I would not put it past Oda, especially because we are in the end game and everyone thinks that Conquerors is necessary. I don't think it's necessary for everyone.
I don't think it's necessary.
I have a question, quick. Just did we see Scupper Gaban using Conqueror's Haki? Have we seen that yet?
No, but I think that Green was future sight. All right, to end it, your 1 sentence hot take, and then we'll see you guys next week. Anybody want? All right, I'll start.
Oh, you go ahead.
Elbaf is not about Usopp. It's about Brook. I stand by that. I said it last time. I stand by it.
Okay.
I stand by it. I stand by it.
Is this just our biggest hot take in general in One Piece?
No, just right now. Just one of them. It's a good way to get us to stop talking.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Well, so I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think that Katakuri is way more relevant than we're giving him credit for, and he's the Whitebeard of this generation, and he will become the strongest man once this is all over. He will get that title.
Nice. Okay, mine. I think there is definitely going to be a second time skip in One Piece, and it's not going to be far away.
Do you think it's pre or post Laugh Tale?
Pre-Laugh Tale.
Really? You think there's going to be a time skip?
Yeah, it's going to be the prelude to the final war. So when the Cold War scenario ends and everyone actually starts fighting, that will be the end of the second time skip.
Okay. Well, guys, if I'm at NYC Anime on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Broker's nowhere to be found on the internet.
I'm on Discord.
He is on Discord. Excuse me.
So yeah. So how do you find out your Discord name?
We'll put our Discord in the next one in the description.
Perfect.
All right. And I am Nerdtaku on all platforms. So please drop a follow. Definitely like this video, especially, and subscribe if you haven't, and then go over to my channel and do the same.
Yes. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. And then the following week is a break week. So we're going to talk about God Valley in 2 weeks. I'm excited.
God Valley in 2.
God Valley.